Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. Hope everyone is well. Inshallah, we'll be starting our third lesson of module 3. Inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala make this lesson beneficial for everyone. May He allow me to deliver this lesson to the best of my ability, inshallah. Before we start, inshallah, we'll do some questions, inshallah. First question I would like to start off with was, from the previous lesson, we learned that the Jews asked 3 questions to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. There were 3 questions the Jews asked the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam. Could someone write the answers? Could someone write the questions that were asked to the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam? The 3 questions. MashaAllah, who were the people of the cave? Yes. Regarding the soul. MashaAllah, yes, regarding the soul. Yes, the people of the cave regarding the soul. And what was the third question? 𝗃القرنين, yeah. 𝗃القرنين, who was the king who conquered the world? Yes, MashaAllah, very good. Okay. And why did Allah not give the answers to the Prophet ﷺ immediately? What was the cause of the delay in giving the answers? He didn't say inshallah, mashallah. Yes, he didn't say inshallah. So this teaches us a lesson, okay? And this comes in Surah Kahf as well, mashallah. Yes, it teaches us a lesson that whenever we say something or we intend to do something, we should say inshallah, which means if Allah wills, mashallah. Next question is, why did they migrate to Abyssinia? Why Abyssinia out of all countries? Why did the Prophet ﷺ advise them to migrate to Abyssinia? Because Negus was a just king, mashallah. There was a just ruler, mashallah. Next question, inshallah. How did Hamza radiallahu anh, how did he accept Islam? What was the reason? What was the cause of him accepting Islam? I could get other brothers, inshallah, to participate in the questions as well, inshallah. Yes, out of anger. Yes, mashallah, he said it. He said it out of anger, accident. Yes, mashallah. Next, inshallah, could we, because when the first time was abused by Abu Jahl out of anger. Yes, mashallah, very good, out of anger. Yes. So, could you write down some miracles of the Prophet sallallahu alaihi wasallam, some miracles that took place in his lifetime? Splitting the moon, mashallah. Splitting of the moon, yes. Water out of the fingers, very good, mashallah. Water coming out of his fingers, yes, mashallah. Food multiplying, yes. The Quran, yes. Whenever he woke up, there was no sign that he just woke up, mashallah, yes. Join. Unmuted. Yes, barakah of food in a group, mashallah. Jabir and the food story. And lastly, why was Surah Kafirun revealed? What was the cause of revelation of Surah Kafirun? No, why was Surah Kafirun revealed when Allah sent Surah Kafirun, which meant that the Prophet ﷺ told, because mushrikeen tried to make some deal. Yes, mashallah, wanted him to. Yes, very good, mashallah. So yes, the mushrikeen, they wanted the Prophet to worship their idols for 1 year, and they would in return worship Allah for 1 year. MashaAllah, there should be no compromise in religion. MashaAllah, very good. Okay, inshallah, we'll move on, inshallah, to our next lesson, inshallah. Okay. So in the previous 2 lessons, we spoke about Prophet ﷺ's how his in terms of his face, how his eyes, his eyebrows. We spoke about his face. This lesson, inshallah, we'll be speaking about some of his body parts and some of his characteristics, inshallah. So his palms, number 1, his palms and feet were fully fleshed. Okay, they weren't big in size, but they had enough meat on it that he wasn't bony. So his palms and feet were fully fleshed. His palms were really soft. I did tell you that Anas bin Malik said that his palms were so soft, they were softer than silk. His fingers and toes were moderately long. Okay, his fingers weren't too wide. It wasn't thick, but it was long. It wasn't too long. The soles of his feet were perfectly arched. When he walked, he placed his feet softly on the ground. Okay, so when he was walking, you wouldn't be able to hear him coming. Okay, he would place his foot softly on the ground. Okay, he walked at a quick pace, but he didn't walk so fast that he would become a burden on other people, that he won't bump into people. He would walk fast, so he would get to his destination fast, so he can be more productive with time. He wouldn't slug around and walk slowly. He would get to his destination fast, get to the masjid quickly, get to his house quickly, so he can save time and be more productive with time management. When he looked at someone and something, he gave his full attention. So he won't multitask. When he's speaking to someone, or when he's looking at someone, or when he's giving someone attention, he won't be doing something else. Okay. His habit was to turn his full body towards the speaker. So just because sometimes when we speak to someone, we're facing a different direction, or we're on our phone and we're listening to the person. No, he wouldn't do that. He wouldn't just listen. He would turn his full body towards the person and he would give them full attention. Okay, he wouldn't interrupt while the person is talking. He would let them finish and then he would say what he had to say. His sight was focused on the ground more than the sky. The reason why is he just brings out he was really humble. Okay, if someone keeps looking up at the sky and walking, the chest would naturally come out. Okay, he would look at the ground and he would walk, not so much that he would walk into people, but he would keep his sight at the ground. Why? Because we came from the earth, okay, and we will one day get buried into this earth. We're nothing in this world, okay. So we shouldn't walk in such a way that we own this earth, okay. We shouldn't walk in such a way, okay. We should try to be humble as much as possible. He was very modest and always lowered his gaze. He was the first to greet. Okay, whoever he met, he was the first to greet them with salam, and he would have a smile on his face. No matter how old the person was, no matter how young the person was, okay, no matter how big of a sinner the person was, he would meet them with a smile and he would give them salam first. And the Prophet ﷺ said, "Al-badi'u bis-salam bari'un min al-kibr." That the person who gives salam first is free from pride. Inshallah, we should try to take some of these lessons into our life. When someone's talking to us, inshallah, we should try to give them full attention, turn our body towards them, put your phone away and give them full attention. And when we greet someone, we should try to give them salam first and smile and keep a smile on our face at all times. Move on to our next slide, inshallah, the first slide of our lesson officially. So last lesson we spoke about how the Quraysh tried many different ways to obviously stop Islam from growing. So when they saw Islam was growing really fast, especially Umar radiallahu anhu became a Muslim, Hamza radiallahu anhu became a Muslim. So the Quraysh, what they did was they tried to offer a man called Imarah bin Abdul Waleed. So they came with this man. So this man Imarah, he was from the best tribe of Quraysh. Okay, he was a handsome man, he was a knowledgeable man, a good man. And they said to Abu Talib, "Oh Abu Talib, we will give you Imarah in exchange of Muhammad. So we will take Muhammad and we will kill him and we will give you Imarah. So in that way, you don't have no loss, okay? That you can take Imarah as your nephew, you can look after him, he will be like Muhammad for you." And Abu Talib rejected this offer. Abu Talib got really angry and he said, "No, okay, I will not let you do this." And because of that, they became really angry. The mushrikeen, they became really angry and they wanted to boycott they wanted to boycott anyone who supported the Prophet ﷺ. Now it's very important to understand that the Banu Hashim, the tribe of Banu Hashim and the Banu Abdul Muttalib, they weren't all Muslim, but they believed in tribalism. Okay, they put their tribe before religion. So even though they weren't Muslims, they weren't willing to give Muhammad up. Okay, because they had this belief that they have to stick by the tribe no matter how hard situations get. They have to stick by their tribe. So even though some of them weren't Muslims, they still never gave up Prophet Muhammad ﷺ. Okay, so what was the boycott? I will learn about what the boycott was. They made a letter. Anyone that's joining, please just turn your mic off, please. So they made a boycott letter. So in the letter, they wrote that no one can sell any items uh, to the Muslims. No one can sell any items to anyone who is linked to Prophet Muhammad. Okay, no one can get married to anyone who's part of this boycott. No one can get married to anyone from the Quraysh. Okay, um, and no one can buy and sell from them. Yes, and this was done so the only condition this boycott would stop is if they handed Muhammad Sallallahu over. Okay, that was the only way they can stop this boycott. So they said that this boycott would carry on until you hand Muhammad Sallallahu over. Okay, so it lasted. Does anyone know how long it lasted for?
3 years.
Yes, mashallah, it lasted for 3 years. Okay, this boycott lasted for 3 years. For 3 years, the Muslims were left, okay, in a place. Okay, does anyone know which place they lived in, where they were in? They were in a place called 𝗃𝗶𝗀𝗀𝘀𝗵𝘃. Okay, it was called the Valley of Abu Talib. Okay, they were in that place for 3 years. No food. Okay, rarely any food. Okay, no one is buying from them, so they can't get money. No one is selling to them. Those who join, can you please, when you're joining, can you please press uh, unmute yourself as soon as you join, okay? So it doesn't affect the class. So what they would do is they weren't allowed to obviously buy anything from the market, okay? Purposely, Abu Jahl told the people that raise your price up if any of the Muslims come to you, okay? So they can't afford to buy anything from you. So they were left in this place. They were left like this for about 3 years, so much that you could hear the children crying out of hunger. It is said that there was one of the companions. He was also part of the 10 guaranteed Jannah. His name was Sa'ad bin Abi Waqqas. That once he found like some dry meat, and he washed it and he cooked it and he ate it. Okay, it was very rarely they could find anything to eat. Most of them survived leaves. Okay, water and leaves. Okay, that's all they could find. Now, occasionally, sometimes some people who had a lot of sympathy, they would send food over. So sometimes people would send some food over on a camel, and that the camel would come into the Sheikh Abi Talib, and the Muslims would take the food, and the Muslims would cook the animal. They would cook the camel, and they would eat that. But think about it, for 3 years, okay, how much supply would they be getting? Not much supply, okay, and on the boycott letter, the man who wrote this letter, immediately, the man who wrote this letter, immediately, he was punished by Allah. Okay, there's some scholars that say that he became paralyzed and he was humiliated by Allah. And on top of the letter, they wrote Bismika Allahumma, in the name of Allah. They didn't believe Allah as one God, so they were mushrikeen. They knew Allah is a God, but they believed in idols as well. Okay, so on top of the letter, on top of the boycott letter, they wrote Bismika Allahumma, in the name of Allah, and they put it inside a box. They closed the box up and they left the box inside the Kaaba. Okay, so in the box there was a letter that had all the points that you can't speak with them, you can't speak with the Muslims, you can't sell to the Muslims, you can't marry anyone from the Muslims, you have to boycott them socially and in all ways. Okay. Now, later on, what happened was a few non-Muslims, they were Muslims at that time, they got together and they thought, let's plan something, okay, because it's 3 years, it's not right. Even though we're not Muslims, you can't do that to human beings. These people are suffering, especially the women and the children. So two of them were Mut'im ibn Adi and Hakim bin Hizam. Does anyone remember Hakim bin Hizam? He's come in our lesson before. One of the he was related to Khadija radiallahu anha. He was the one that gave Zayd bin Haritha to Khadija radiallahu anha. She was his auntie, so he gave Zayd bin Haritha as a gift. If you look at the picture on the left-hand corner, you can see a yellow circle. This is where exactly where 𝗃 Talib is. Right now, it's known as Ali. It's called the Ali Valley. So if anyone does go to Makkah, you can find this place called the Ali Valley. Okay, so this lasted for 3 years. After 3 years, there was a stop of the boycott. There were many reasons why this boycott ended. The first one was the Prophet made dua against them. The Prophet made dua against these people, against Abu Jahl and those who made this boycott, those who made this letter. Number two was some of the people of the Quraysh, they decided that they should do something to break this pact. So 5 men, they got ready. What they did was, overnight, they came up with the idea that tomorrow we'll all get up and we'll announce, okay, that what you're doing is wrong. And after I say, the next person, you go and say as well, what you're doing is wrong. And then the next person say. So all 5 of them were standing in different places. All 5 of them were standing in different places of the congregation. So the first man stood up the next day and he said, what we're doing to these people is not right. And down the line, there was another man. He said, he put his hand up and said, I agree to the first person as well. And it looked like the full congregation was agreeing. So what they said is, okay, let's stop this. Okay, but the most authentic reason why this stopped was point number 3. Allah sent Jibreel alayhi salam, who told the Prophet that tell your people Allah is angry. So he has sent insects to eat up the boycott letter inside the Kaaba. So what Allah did was Allah sent some insects and they went into the box where the boycott letter was inside and they ate everything, they ate all the conditions, they ate everything from the letter. The only part that remained was the top part, 𝗃_𝗿𝗀𝗀𝗃, in the name of your Lord. So when the Prophet found out about this, he went to his uncle Abu Talib and he said to Abu Talib that go and tell the people that Allah is angry and Allah has sent insects that the insects have everything up from the letter besides the top part. So Abu Talib went to the Quraysh and he said, look, my nephew has informed me that today, he informed me today that Allah is angry, Allah has sent insects. Now you can go and check in that box. If inside the box the letter is eaten and the top part remains, then you have to stop this boycott. If my nephew is wrong and he has lied, then you can take my nephew. Okay, so the Quraysh thought, okay, that's a good deal. Let's go and check. When they went in to check, they opened the box. The letter was eaten up by the insects. The only part that remained was 𝗃_𝗿𝗀𝗃𝗃. Just the top part remained 𝗃_𝗿𝗀𝗃, in the name of your Lord. So that was the end of this boycott. So this was close to when the Prophet was about 47, 48, 49. So it was his late 40s. So he was around that age. Now, because of this, it made Abu Talib very weak. Okay, this boycott, there was no food and all this, all the stress and everything. It made Abu Talib very weak. That soon after the boycott, what happened to Abu Talib was he passed away. And Abu Talib, we all know, he looked after the Prophet for how many years? Does anyone remember? How many years did he look after the Prophet for? So we know that his father passed away before he was born. His mother passed away at the age of 6. His grandfather Abdul Muttalib passed away at the age of 8. Okay, from the age of 8 until the Prophet became 50, Abu Talib looked after him for 42 years. For 42 years, he looked after the Prophet. Even though he wasn't a Muslim, he gave him support throughout. Okay, he didn't let anyone do anything. He didn't hand even though he's a leader, he never handed his nephew over ever to the Quraysh. So all this was really hard for him, especially the last few years, staying in the valley of Abu Talib. There was no food and everything. It made him really weak. Now, on his deathbed, the Prophet came to him and he tried to get his uncle to say, La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah. But Abu Talib had 2 friends that were with him, Abu Jahl and another friend. And they said, oh, Abu Talib, are you going to leave the religion of Abdul Muttalib? Would you just leave your religion like that? So the Prophet tried to get his uncle to say La ilaha illallah Muhammadur Rasulullah by his friends, yes, his bad company, his friends Abu Jahl and another friend, they prevented him, they stopped him from saying it. And so Abu Talib, most scholars say he died without saying the kalima. Now obviously this made the Prophet sad, okay? And he asked Allah to forgive his uncle. He asked Allah, oh Allah, forgive my uncle, please. Then Allah revealed a verse. It's in Surah Tawbah, verse 113. Allah says, It is not for the Prophet ﷺ and those who believe that they seek forgiveness for the polytheists, the mushrikeen, those who ascribe partners with Allah, even if they were relatives, after it has become clear to them that they are the companions of the fire. If someone has died as a non-Muslim, you can't pray for them, you can't seek forgiveness for them, okay, because they have become the companions of the fire. Allah also said in Surah Qasas that, verily, O Muhammad, you will not be able to guide those whom you love. Rather, Allah guides those whom He wishes, and He knows best those who are guided. Okay, so even though you love someone, you can try your best to guide them, but ultimately, guidance only comes from Allah. So the Prophet was obviously really sad, especially how what happened a few just before Abu Talib passed away. They were boycotted for 3 years. Soon after that, his uncle passed away, and soon after that, after a few days, his wife Khadija RA passed away. Some lessons we can learn, inshallah, from the death of his uncle Abu Talib, inshallah, is that the first lesson we can learn from Abu Talib is that Abu Talib's death is that guidance comes only from Allah. Okay, there's sometimes we want to guide people, there's sometimes we have a friend, or sometimes we have a family member, or sometimes there's someone we know. We want to guide them to do good. Yes, we've tried our best. Okay, we should always try what's in our ability. Okay, and if you can't, then just leave it to Allah. Okay, true guidance only comes from Allah. Okay, Yahdi man yasha. Allah guides whoever He wants. Okay, and number two was belief in Allah. So even belief in Allah, Iman, belief in Allah is more than just acknowledging the truth of the Prophet ﷺ. It is about believing, accepting, and abiding by Allah's commands and Muhammad's teaching. That Abu Talib, he knew that the Prophet ﷺ's path is true. Why? How do we know? Because he told his sons, Ja'far and Ali, that stay with Muhammad. Okay, be in his company and stay with him. So that shows that he knew that Prophet ﷺ, Muhammad ﷺ, is a true prophet. He knew that Allah is the one and only God and the only Lord we should be worshipping and believing. But it was just that he didn't want to accept it. Okay, he didn't want to leave and forsake his forefathers' religion. Okay, he wanted to stick by, even though he was like blind following his forefathers' religion. He didn't want to leave that religion out of pride. Okay, and that is why he has ended up in Jahannam. But the Prophet ﷺ said that from the Abu Talib in Jahannam, he is having the least of punishment. Okay, because he looked after the Prophet ﷺ so much, Allah was merciful towards him that he would be made to wear two sandals made of fire, and that would boil his brains up. Okay, and this is the least form of punishment in Jahannam. Okay, because he did give Prophet ﷺ so much support. 42 years, he was his support outside the house. Khadija was his support inside the house, and outside the house, Abu Talib supported him. Okay, he didn't hand him over, he looked after him, and he made sure that no one does anything to the Prophet ﷺ. The next lesson we can learn is evil company. Evil company and bad friends. It's a very important lesson. Who knows, had it not been for Abu Jahl, who knows, probably Abu Talib would have said the kalima that La ilaha illallah Muhammad Rasulullah. Who knows? Okay, and this is a very important lesson for us as well. That bad friendship would lead us to the wrong path. Okay, the Prophet ﷺ said that good friends are like musk, and bad friends are like blacksmith. If you go to like a perfume shop, what happens? You go to a perfume shop and you don't purchase anything. Just because you entered that perfume shop automatically, because you're in a place where there's scents and good smell, what's going to happen is it's going to rub onto you. Okay, you are, even though you don't spray anything onto yourself and you don't buy anything, you're automatically going to smell nice. It's because of the surroundings. And if you go to a blacksmith and you don't purchase anything, automatically you will smell bad. Why? Because it's because of the surroundings. So it's like that. If you have good friends, yeah, and you are an evil person, automatically their good traits would rub onto you, and you would start adopting some of the good traits. And if you're in the company of bad friends, slowly, okay, obviously there's some exceptions, but slowly their bad traits will slowly start rubbing onto you. Okay, so handpick your friends and only pick those friends that will that will remind you of Allah and the Prophet ﷺ. Okay, Allah says in the Quran, الأخلاء يومئذ بعضهم عدو إلا المتقين, that close friends will be enemies to one another except the righteous. Okay, and we learned last lesson as well about 𝗃𝗶 bin Abi Mu'ayt, that he accepted Islam, but just because his friends wanted, just because he wanted to please his bad friends, he spat at the Prophet ﷺ, and what happened? Okay, that spit came back onto his face, and on the day of judgment, he will be biting his fingers and saying, only if I took the Prophet as my friend and not my friends who led me astray after I was guided. Okay, so make sure your company of friends are always good. The Prophet also said, Al-mar'u ma'a man ahabba. Okay, that a person will be with whom he loves. Okay, and that's what they say, that when you want to find out about someone, then look at their friends. Okay, so inshallah, may Allah subhanahu wa ta'ala give us good friends. Also, on the day of judgment, okay, the day that will be very hot. Okay, the sun will be just above our head, and the floor will be made of copper. Okay, we will be sweating. Those who have sinned so much, they will be sweating in different levels. On that day, 7 types of people, not 7 people, but 7 types of people will be given shade. 7 types of people will be given shade under the shade of Allah. There will be no other shade under the shade of the throne of Allah. One of these types, okay, not 7 people, but 7 types of people. You can inshallah go and find out the 7 types. One of these types are two people who loved each other for the sake of Allah. So if you have a true friend, and out of love for the sake of Allah, you became this person's friend, you went to the masjid together, you prayed together, you did all these good things together, inshallah, because of that, Allah will give you a place in the shade on the day where there is no other shade. Point number 4 we can learn from Abu Talib's death is that, inshallah, I'll take some questions after that, inshallah. I could see some brothers are asking on the chat. Don't be ashamed to do any good. So this is a very important point. Abu Talib probably never took his shahada because he was ashamed that his friends, yes, might say something. Okay, and this is a lesson for us, that sometimes when we're practicing and our friend does something wrong, okay, you should go and tell him that, look, this what you done is not right. You shouldn't, in Islam, you shouldn't be doing that. If you see a friend or brother or someone you know close to you, that could be a brother, that could be a sister, that could be your father, that could be your mother. If they're not praying the salah, yes, you should tell them that you should pray your salah. You shouldn't be ashamed that I shouldn't talk about that. You shouldn't be ashamed. You should always, because it's your right. Okay, it's one of our responsibilities, that everyone has a responsibility, and the Prophet also said that, أَلَا كُلُّكُمْ رَاعٍ وَكُلُّكُمْ مَسْئُولٌ عَنْ رَعِيَّتِهِ, that verily each and every one of you is a shepherd, and you will be asked regarding about your herd. So you have to look after your family. If they're not praying, or if your friends are not praying, you have to tell them. If after many reminders they don't listen, then it's different, but you have to remind them. Okay, you shouldn't be ashamed to remind our friends. If they do something wrong, we should tell them that it's wrong. Okay, we should always advise them to do good. And the last point, inshallah, we're going to talk about is Allah's mercy. Now, Abu Talib, yes, most scholars do agree that he didn't die as a Muslim, but even then, Allah was so merciful to Abu Talib. How was Allah so merciful that in Jahannam, even though when he's going to get punished, he will get the least of punishment. He will get the least of punishment. Okay, he will just be made to wear 2 sandals of fire, and his brain will start boiling up. That's the least of punishment. Okay, we also learn about Abu Lahab. Yes, Abu Lahab, who was also the uncle of our Prophet ﷺ. He was the brother of Abu Talib. Now, Abu Lahab, we all know, yes, tabbat yada abi lahabin wa tabb. Okay, Abu Lahab was he was one of the worst enemies of Islam. Okay, he hated Islam so much, and he hated the Prophet so much. But because the day the Prophet was born, Abu Lahab, he freed his slave. Just because of that, Allah will give him some sort of help on that day, on every Monday, that Allah will give him just a bit of water. Okay, his brother had a dream, Abbas had a dream, and he asked Abu Lahab that how is it for you? And he said that it's hard for me, but just on every Monday I get this much water. He put his palm out and he gets this much water. And Allah is so merciful that we read every single day, Alhamdulillahi Rabbil Alameen, Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. Ar-Rahman Ar-Rahim. In Arabic, Raham, okay? Rahma is mercy. Allah is so merciful that Allah has 100 parts of mercy. Only one part Allah has used on this earth. Allah has only used one part on this earth. The other 99 parts He will use on the Day of Judgment. He's so merciful. Okay. Also, when Allah created the world and He created His throne, Allah, when He created His throne, He wrote on the throne, Inna rahmati sabaqat ghadabi. That indeed my mercy precedes my wrath. That indeed my mercy overcomes my anger. Allah is so merciful, so merciful, more merciful than a mother, more merciful than anyone on this earth. That's how merciful Allah is. He's willing to forgive, and we know many stories. Okay, I'll just say one quick story. There was a man who killed 99 people. Okay, there was a man from the past, he killed 99 people. And he went to seek advice. And the person who he went to, that person said, what, you killed 99 people? Allah will never forgive you. Allah won't forgive you. That made the man angry, and he killed him as well. So in total, he killed 100 people. Then he went to a scholar, and the scholar said, Allah is forgiving, Allah is merciful, Allah will definitely forgive you. But what you have to do is, you have to leave the town you're living in. Where you're living in, or the city you're living in, is not good for you. Okay, so this also teaches us a lesson. Sometimes our friend circle might not be good for us. Yes, if it has to be, we have to leave these friends. Yes, then we have to, and look for other friends. Okay, or you don't need to have friends. Make Allah your friend. Okay, so this man, he killed 100 people, and now he's left his hometown, and he's on his way to go migrate to somewhere else, and he passed away. Now the angels of Jannah came, and the angels of Jahannam came. They both came to take him. The angel of Jahannam said that he's killed 100 people. He's definitely destined for Jahannam. And the angels of Jannah said, no, but he's asked for forgiveness of Allah, and Allah is merciful. Allah is so forgiving. Okay, Allah is Rahman, Allah is Tawwab, Allah is Ghafur. Allah will forgive him. Then Allah sent a third angel, and the third angel said, okay, we're going to measure. Okay, we're going to measure how much he's walked from his hometown. If he's closer to the new town, then he'll go to Jannah. If he's closer to his old town, the town where he did 100 murders, then he will go to Jahannam. Allah commanded the town that he lived in before to move further away. And Allah told the town he's migrating to come closer. When they measured it, he was closer to the town he's migrating to, and Allah forgave him. Allah is so merciful. Okay, that so merciful that also on the Day of Judgment, the last person to enter Jannah, yeah, after him, the doors of Jahannam will be closed, and the doors of Jannah will be closed. This is the last man to enter Jannah, or the last woman, whoever is, whichever gender. Allah will give them a Jannah which is 10 times bigger than this earth. That's how merciful Allah is. Okay, Allah is so merciful. Also, you know when Fir'aun was drowning, when the story of Musa alayhi salam and Fir'aun, when Fir'aun was drowning, the angels started kicking mud into Fir'aun's mouth, because Fir'aun was uttering that I believe in the Lord of Musa, and the angels thought that Allah will forgive him. Okay, because Allah's mercy is so powerful. Even though Fir'aun didn't mean it, the angels thought that Allah will forgive him, and the angels started kicking mud into the mouth of Fir'aun. Allah is so merciful, is more merciful than our parents and everyone on this earth. Okay, so that is regarding Allah's mercy. If anyone has any questions so far, what we've done. MashaAllah, a good question. Can we make friends with bad people or evil people to make them better? You can be friends with them, that's fine. That's a very good point. You can be friends with them, but you shouldn't stay in their company for too long. Okay, maybe give them advice, and that's it. Move on. Okay, don't meet them, and don't stay with them for too long, because slowly what happens is, unless obviously you're very strong on your faith. Okay, we're very weak. We're human beings. We're called insan for a reason. Insan comes from a word nasya, means we forget. Okay, we start forgetting things. And we can let these people end up changing our life. Okay, there's many stories you can listen to, that such a person, they started their life as a good person. Okay, now because of their friends and wrong influence, they ended up changing. Okay, so you can advise them, that's a good intention, but also remember that don't let any of their bad traits affect your life. Another question is Hadith al-Qudsi, Allah's direct words. Yes, Hadith al-Qudsi is such a hadith that is Allah's word. It's not the Prophet's words. It's Allah's words that's not mentioned in the Quran. Okay, Allah's speech that's not recorded in the Quran is classed as Hadith al-Qudsi. It's just underneath Quran. Okay, so Quran, Hadith al-Qudsi, and then the Hadith of the Prophet Sallallahu Alaihi Wasallam. We'll move on to, inshallah, our final slide. So just imagine what the Prophet ﷺ was going through, yeah? After 3 years of boycott, okay, already he's having a hard time, right? All the Muslims have become really weak. And immediately after that, his uncle passes away. That was the Prophet's life throughout his life. Every single year, every single time, he was facing difficulty. And we face one difficulty and we give up. Look at our Prophet, he was born without a father. He lost his mother at 6. His chest split at the age of 4. He lost his mother at the age of 6. He lost his grandfather at 8. Okay, and then so much throughout his life, he had to bury 6 of his children. Imagine 6 children he buried. Okay, just besides one child who passed away 6 months after him, he buried all his children. All his children were buried by his own hands. Then he was boycotted by his own tribe. His uncles, they abused him. Okay, then his uncle, his source, his help outside his house, Abu Talib, passed away, and after a few days, his wife Khadija radiallahu anha passed away. And their marriage lasted for 25 years. Okay, since the age of he married her at the age of 25, and she passed away when he was 50 years old. And the only children he had with any of his wives, so he got married 11 times. From all 11 wives, the only children he had were with Khadija bint Khuwaylid. Okay, and she was a support. She helped him so much. Okay, and we learn about her in Module 2, that she came from a very rich family. Yes, she only married the Prophet out because of his character. Okay, uh, the the Sahaba said that after Khadija passed away, we didn't see the Prophet smile for months. And this year is known as the year of sorrow. In Seerah, in our Prophet's life, this year is known as Am al-Huzn. Am in Arabic means year. Huzn means grief and sorrow. So this full year, this year, the year of when he was 50, this year is known as the year of sorrow. This was one of his toughest years. Okay, where he lost his uncle Abu Talib, and immediately after that, he lost his wife Khadija radiallahu anha. And the Prophet said that Khadija, she supported me when no one did. Remember when Islam came, when the first revelation came, who did he go to first? He didn't go to his best friend Abu Bakr. He didn't go to anyone else. Who did he go to? The first person he went to is Khadija. Khadija radiallahu anha. And what did she do? She gave him a blanket. She comforted him, and she took him to her cousin Waraqah. She comforted me when the world gave me grief. She spent on me when everyone boycotted me. Okay, when everyone boycotted the Prophet ﷺ, that's when she was spending on him. Okay, she gave all her wealth for the sake of Islam and gave me children through her. Allah gave me children through her when Allah deprived all of my other wives of this blessing. Okay, so Allah gave the only wife the Prophet ﷺ had children with was Khadija radiallahu anha. Now she is also among the 4 best people. The 4 best women of the past. One is Maryam bint Imran, Khadija bint Khuwaylid, Fatima bint Muhammad, and Asiya bint Muzahim. I'm going to quickly speak about the other 3, inshallah. Then I'll come to Khadija bint Khuwaylid. Who can tell me who is Asiya bint Muzahim? We'll start from the bottom. Who is Asiya bint Muzahim? Anyone? Does anyone know who Asiya bint Muzahim is?
Fir'aun's wife.
MashaAllah, Fir'aun's wife. 𝗃cie bin Muzahim was Fir'aun's wife. Okay, so I'll just quickly speak about her and we'll speak about the other three, inshallah. So we all know Fir'aun was the worst person to walk on this earth, the worst person. Okay, the most corrupt person. He claimed to be a lord, he claimed to own this earth. He killed so many young boys, okay, because he had a dream that someone would take over his kingdom. That he went on a killing spree. He told all the guards to kill any male child, okay, to kill all the young boys in Egypt. So he was a very corrupt person. Allah gave him such an amazing wife, 𝗃cie bin Muzahim. Okay, she came from a very rich family. She married Fir'aun. She couldn't have any children. Okay, so what happened was, we know the story of Musa alayhi salam. We're not going to go into so much detail. And when she was outside one day with her slaves, she saw a little box, a little basket. They opened it and they found a little baby, a little child in there, and they took Musa alayhi salam in. Okay, and long story short is, Musa alayhi salam grew up and he started preaching about Allah. And 𝗃cie radiallahu anha, may Allah be pleased with her, she accepted his message immediately. And we know the story about Fir'aun. Yeah, Fir'aun was so corrupt. There's a story about Fir'aun's hairdresser. So Fir'aun's children, so Fir'aun had daughters from another marriage, not with 𝗃cie. So Fir'aun had daughters from another marriage, and he had a hairdresser. So this hairdresser would comb Fir'aun's daughter's hair. One day, whilst combing the hair of Fir'aun's daughter, the comb fell down, and she picked it up and she said, Bismillah. Okay, in the name of my Lord, or in the name of Allah. And the daughter said, do you mean my father God? And she said, no, your father is not our Lord. My Lord is Allah. Now Fir'aun's daughter went to Fir'aun. She complained, saying that our hairdresser said, you're not God. And she said, Allah is the God. And so Fir'aun, what he did was, he was so corrupt, he ordered for a pit to be dug, and he started throwing the children of this woman into the pit. Till the end, she had her little child. So all of them were thrown into the pit, and in the end, it was just her and her little child. It was a little baby, and she was hesitant. Okay, and the baby spoke out. So in the past, a few babies have spoken out. Once, remember, we were learning about the boy and the king story. Once Isa alayhi salam spoke out. Okay, Isa alayhi salam spoke out. We're going to be speaking about Maryam bint Imran very soon. One of these were the hairdressers of Fir'aun's daughters. So the baby spoke out and said, oh mom, don't worry, inshallah, everything should be okay. And she was thrown in with her baby. Now when the Prophet went on the night journey, and he went to Jannah and Jahannam, he went to Jannah and he smelled this amazing smell. And he asked Jibril, what is this amazing smell in Jannah? And Jibril said, this part of Jannah is reserved for the hairdresser of Fir'aun. And he told the Prophet this story. Now, when 𝗃cie, she saw that this woman is so strong in her belief, so 𝗃cie, she went and told Fir'aun that, me as well, I believe in Allah and everything. And Fir'aun tortured her. Fir'aun got his guards to torture her so much, and she was smiling a lot. She didn't care, because Allah protected her, until Fir'aun got really angry. He took 𝗃cie and he put her underneath this big mountain, and he got his guards to throw a big boulder down, so it's gonna basically finish her off. But scholars say that Allah took her life before the boulder hit her and put her into pieces. That was 𝗃cie bint Muzahim. You can inshallah learn more about her. The next person we're going to quickly briefly speak about is Fatima bint Muhammad. Fatima bint Muhammad was the only child of our Prophet who outlived the Prophet. She was the daughter of the Prophet. She died about 6 months after the Prophet's death. When she came to the Prophet and he was on his deathbed, he said to her, "Oh Fatima, you will be the first one to meet me in Jannah from my family." So meaning you will be the next one to pass away from this family. 6 months later, she passed away. She was married to Ali radiallahu anhu, who was the son of Abu Talib, who was the cousin brother of our Prophet and the fourth Khalifa, the fourth Caliph. And together they had the famous Hassan, Hussein, and Muhsin, Okay, they had these famous sons. Maryam bint Imran, a third person we're going to speak about. We know Maryam bint Imran. She was the daughter of Imran. Now, she was the mother of Prophet Isa. She gave birth to a miraculous boy. Now, she lived. She was so basically her mother and father, they wished for a child, okay? And they promised Allah that, oh Allah, if you give us a child, then we will give this child in the service of Masjid al-Aqsa. We will give this child in the service of your religion. Now they expected a son, right? Because you give a son to the masjid, he'll be the imam, he'll be the king, everything. But Allah gave them a daughter, Maryam. But they were really happy still, and they gave her in the service uh, Masjid Bayt al-Maqsid of Masjid al-Aqsa. And at that time, the Imam of Masjid al-Aqsa was Prophet Zakaria, who was the cousin of Maryam. So he looked after her, and he also says that she was blessed at a very young age. There's some fruits you only get in the summer. She was getting the fruits of the summer in winter. She was getting the fruits of the winter in summer. So Allah gave her so much, uh, so many miracles she faced. Now one day, while she was walking, and she was known in the full area, she was known as Maryam, who is very good, mashallah. Okay, she was a very modest lady. Now one day, while walking, a there was a figure that appeared, and she asked the figure that, who are you? Don't come close to me. And the figure said, I am Jibril. I'm here to give you the glad tidings of a son, Isa. She was shocked because she's not married. Okay, and then she gave birth to Isa alayhi salam, and she was scared because obviously if she goes back with a child, people are gonna think that, what have you done, Maryam? Okay, you weren't married. How did you get this child? Allah gave her a tree where she ate from some dates that gave her energy, but nonetheless she went back to her community, and people started saying all sort of corrupt things and evil things to her. And all she did was she pointed at Isa alayhi salam and he spoke. And that was one of the miracles of Prophet Isa alayhi salam, that he could speak from a very young age. And this was one of the greatest women of our history, Maryam bint Imran. Inshallah, you can learn more about her. We're going to, rest of the time, inshallah, we're going to quickly speak about Khadija bin Khuwaylid. So Khadija radiallahu anha, she supported the Prophet in the house. Okay, now she didn't need to get married to the Prophet. She was really wealthy from beforehand. Okay, but she married the Prophet out of his character, and she supported him financially. So he, once he went out to preach Islam, he didn't have to think about his financial situation, because his wife Khadija anha was looking after that. Okay, he had all his children, all his 6 children, okay, the 4 daughters and two sons. He had 4 daughters and 2 sons with Khadija radiallahu anha, and she supported him throughout. So much that even after she passed away, so he only got married to Khadija after Khadija passed away. He got married another 10 times. Yeah, whilst married to Khadija, he didn't get married to anyone else. And after Khadija passed away and he got married, all his other wives would complain that they would get jealous of Khadija because he would speak about her so much. Okay, when Khadija's sister would come, he would get really happy because he would hear the voice of Khadija's sister, and that would remind him of Khadija. Okay, when he was in the cave, and he was in the cave because he wanted to stay in isolation just before the first revelation came. She was the one that would come. At that time, she was very old. She was past 50 years old. She would come. She would climb the little mountain up, and she would come and give him food. Okay, she was the one that gave him shelter. She was the one that gave him lots and lots of love. She was the one that pushed him through when times were hard. In the boycott, she helped him a lot. Okay, and imagine he lost 2 people so close to him in the matter of a few days. Okay, that brings us to the end of this lesson, inshallah. Now, before I take some questions, I'd just like to mention that next week there won't be a Seerah lesson. Okay, there won't be a Seerah lesson next week. We've had 7 weeks, back to back 7 weeks, so we're going to give 1 week for revision. We'll send, inshallah, the we'll send the presentation over so you can have a look at it. But I'll quickly show you the full presentation of module 3, how much we've covered so far. Then I'll take some questions, inshallah. So module 3. Module 3, we started off talking about the food and drinks of the Prophet ﷺ, what he ate and what he drank. Then we spoke about how wudu was revealed, how Jibreel came and practically showed him how to do wudu and how to pray salah. In the beginning of Islam, they would only pray 2 times a day, once in the morning and once in the evening, 2 rakats. Okay, and then later on, obviously, 5 rakats were given. Later on, 5 salahs were given in the 10th year of prophethood. We're going to come to that inshallah in our next lesson. We learned that the first place where the Muslims were studying in was Darul Arqam, the house of Arqam radiallahu anh. And the first Muslims, in the beginning, da'wah was done secretly. And we learned about the Ashara Mubashara, the 10 guaranteed Jannah, where is Darul Arqam is next to Mount Safa. And many Quran verses were revealed and taught there. Many famous Muslims were embraced Islam there. Okay, even Umar radiallahu anhu. And Allah, after 3 years, Allah commanded the Prophet to start giving open da'wah. So he went to Mount Safa and he started calling all the tribes. And Abu Lahab got angry. And Abu Lahab said, "Is this why you call us?" Then Allah revealed Surah Lahab. I'm quickly going through it, but inshallah, you can watch our videos, inshallah, and you can read over what's happened so far. So far we've covered 50 years of the Prophet's life. Okay, we've covered 50 years of the Prophet's life in 8, 9, 10, in 11 lessons. In 11 hours, we've covered 50 years of his life. The remaining 13 years will probably will go over 11 hours. So we're just giving 1 week break before we just go on and finish off the course. Then the Mushrikeen, they attempted to stop Islam. Okay, they put all the Muslims through so much torture, and they gave false titles to the Prophet. They called him a magician, they called him a fortune teller. Okay, then was our next lesson where we spoke about the clothing of the Prophet. That was our last lesson. Basically, we spoke about the 3 questions the Jews asked. We spoke about why they migrated to Abyssinia, why they returned back, because they thought everyone became a Muslim. And then we spoke about the second migration and the speech of 𝗃 to 𝗃ance. Okay, because 𝗃ance was a Christian king, he was understanding, and his religion was similar to Islam, and he did become a Muslim as well. And we learn about how Hamza who accepted Islam, okay, out of anger, but he got the title Lion of Allah. Okay, Asadullah, the Lion of Allah. And then Umar accepted Islam. Remember the Prophet, he made this dua that, "Oh Allah, strengthen Islam by any of the following 2 men." Okay, whichever one you love more, Abu Jahl or Umar bin Khattab. And how he became Muslim, he had the intention to go and kill the Prophet, but what happened Allah changed his mind, and he went and he found Islam. Okay, when they both embraced Islam, the Muslims, they had a bit more courage. Okay, then the Mushrikeen tried many ways to bribe the Prophet. Okay, that if you want money, we'll give you money. If you want woman, we'll give you woman. If you want power, we'll give you power. If you want to be the leader of Makkah, we'll let you be there, but just stop preaching. With the Prophet, he said that even if you give me the sun on one hand and the moon on one hand, I won't stop. I won't stop until Islam reaches everywhere on the earth, or Allah takes my soul. Then we spoke about why Surah Kafirun was revealed. Surah Kafirun was revealed because the Mushrikeen, they wanted to stop Islam, and they said that, "Oh Prophet Allah, you can worship our Lord for 1 year, we'll worship your Lord for 1 year." They tried to make some dealing, but the Prophet, he said no. Then we spoke about the miracles, we spoke about the moon, how the Prophet split the moon, and we spoke about many other miracles as well. Okay, and then it was this lesson. So we're going to give next week, inshallah. Inshallah, I will send this presentation to everyone, inshallah. And do look over our previous lessons to have a quick revision over the previous 50 years of his life, what has happened. So in his first 50 years, not much happened. After his wife and uncle passed away, in the remaining 13 years of his life, there's so much stories. Okay, so much to cover. His first 50 years is not much. So what we've covered, it might seem like 50 years, but it's not much. We don't know much what has happened in these 50 years. Okay, after his wife and his uncle passed away, that's when most of the stories come out, all the battles, his migration to Medina, and many, many other stories. Okay, does anyone have any questions so far? Any questions, or we can end the lesson, inshallah? That's fine, then inshallah we'll leave the lesson, we'll end the lesson here, inshallah. Subhanallah wa bihamdihi, subhanallah al-azim, ashhadu an la ilaha illa anta wa astaghfiruka wa atubu ilayk. Assalamu alaikum wa rahmatullahi wa barakatuh. I'll see you inshallah, not next week, the week after, inshallah. Assalamu alaikum.